Types of taxes. Percentage tax is a business tax imposed on persons or entities who sell or list goods, properties, or services in the course of trade or business whose gross annual sales and receipts do not exceed the amount required to register as VAT registered taxpayers. Percentage taxes are usually based on a fixed rate. They are usually paid monthly by businesses or professionals. However, some special industries and transactions pay percentage tax on a quarterly basis. Value-added tax is a business tax imposed and collected from the seller in the course of trade or business on every sale or properties, real or personal, list of goods or properties, real or personal, or vendors of services. It is an indirect tax, thus it can be passed on the buyer, causing the increase of prices of most goods and services bought and paid by customers, but returns are usually filed and paid monthly and quarterly.
Excise tax is tax imposed on goods manufactured or produced in the Philippines for domestic sales or consumption or any other disposition. Excise tax is tax on the production, sale, or consumption of commodity in country. So what is an example of excise tax? Excise tax is tax imposed on the sales of specific goods or services or on certain uses. Excise tax is usually imposed on the sales of things like alcoholic beverage, tobacco products, and cigarettes, mineral products, petroleum products, and other goods and services. Withholding tax on compensation. Withholding tax on compensation is a tax withheld from the individual receiving purely compensation income arising from an employer's relationship. This tax is what employers withheld in their employees' compensation income and remit to the government through the BIR or authorized accrediting agent. Withholding tax refers to the percentage of an employer earning that are automatically withheld, meaning they are taken from their paycheck and paid directly to the government. Examples of withholding taxes are taxes withheld include income tax, Social Security and Medicare taxes, and state income tax. Expanded withholding tax. Expanded withholding tax is prescribed only for certain payers like those withheld on retail income and professional income. It is creditable against the income tax due to the payee for taxable quarter year.
Final withholding tax is a kind of withholding tax which is prescribed only for certain payers and is not creditable against the income tax due of the pay for taxable year. An example of final withholding tax is the tax withheld by banks on the interest income earned on banks deposits. Withholding tax on government money payments is the withholding tax withheld by government offices, including government-owned or controlled corporations and local governments units, before making any payments to private individuals, corporations, partnership, and/or association.
Local taxes is an assessment by a state, country, or municipality to fund public services ranging from education to garbage collections and sewer maintenance. Local taxes are in many forms, from property taxes and payroll taxes to sales taxes and licensing fees. Local taxes, on the other hand, is based on the local government taxations in the Philippines as stated in the Republic Act 7160 or the Local Government Code of 1991 as amended. These taxes, fees, or charges are imposed by the local government units such as provinces, cities, municipalities, and barangays. Local taxes, on the other hand, include tax on transfer of real property ownership. This is imposed on the sale, donations, barter, or any other mode of transferring ownership of real property. Second is tax on business of printing and publication. This is imposed on printing and publications businesses like that of books, cards, posters, leaflets, handbills, certificates, receipts, pamphlets, and other of similar nature. Next is franchise tax. Is a tax on franchise businesses at the rate not exceeding 50% of 1% of the gross annual receipt of the preceding calendar year based on the incoming receipt or the annual earning within the territorial jurisdictions where the franchise is selling in.
A tax on sand, gravel, and other quarry resources. It is imposed on ordinary stone, sand, gravel, earth, and other quarry resources as defined under the National Internal Revenue Code as amended. This refers to the above materials that are extracted from public lands or from the bed of seas, lake, rivers, streams, creeks, and other public waters within its territorial jurisdiction. So the permit to extract sand, gravel, and other quarry resources shall be issued exclusively by the provincial governor pursuant to the ordinance of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan. Second is the professional tax. It is an annual tax on each person engaged in the exercise or practice of his or her professions that requires government examinations like licensure examinations. So professional tax shall be payable yearly or before the 31st of January. And as stated in the local government code, professional tax should not exceed 300 pesos. As a penalty for late payment, professional tax will incur a penalty of 75 plus 2% if payment is done on the month of February. And last is the amusement tax. It is a tax collected from the proprietor, leases, or operators of theaters, cinemas, concert halls, circuses, boxing stadia, and other placement of amusement. It is imposed on the general admission charges to recreational and entertainment events. Amusement tax is collected by the national government through the Bureau of Internal Revenue or the BIR, and the other is by the province, city, and the municipality.
Annual fixed tax for every delivery truck or van of manufacturers or producers, wholesalers of dealers, or retailers in certain products. Is an annual fixed tax for every truck, van, or any vehicle used by manufacturers, producers, wholesalers, dealers, or retailers in the delivery or distribution of distilled spirits, fermented liquors, soft drinks, cigar and cigarettes, and other products to sale outlets or consumers, whether directly or indirectly within the province. These types of tax is usually imposed as determined by the local provincial council through which the truck or truck pass through or deliver their cargo. Ito yung tax na binibigay ng Sangguniang Panlalawigan o Provincial Council sa mga truck or vans na sinasakyan ng produkto ng mga manufacturer at producers para makapasok ang kanilang produkto sa loob ng probinsya. Tax on business is imposed by cities or municipalities on businesses before they will be issued a business license or permit to start operations based on the schedule of rates prescribed by the local government code as amended. Businessmen pay this tax if they apply for mayor's permit to conduct their business in the local government unit. Rates of this tax vary among cities and municipalities. Ito yung tax na binabayaran para makakuha ng mayor's permit o lisensya ang mga negosyante para sa kanilang negosyo at itatayong negosyo.
Fee for selling community tax. Community taxes collected by city or municipal government proceed immediately to their city or municipal treasurer, while taxes collected by barangay treasurers, ang buwis sa komunidad na kinokolekta ng mga pamahalaang lungsod o munisipalidad ay napupunta kaagad sa kaban ng bayan o munisipyo, habang ang mga buwis na kinokolekta ng mga ingat-yaman ng barangay ay inilalaan sa kalahating batayan. Example, a community tax certificate is a basis document acquired by any individual or citizen at least 18 years of age and above, or juridical being for identifying himself and his resident, which can be used for legal transaction.
Tax levied by the barangay. Barangay tax The barangay may impose a tax on stores or retailers with fixed business establishments with annual gross sales or receipts of 50,000 or less in the case of cities and 30,000 or less in the case of municipalities, at a rate not exceeding 1% of gross sales or receipts. What are the some examples or types of taxes levied by the local government? State and local government collect taxes revenues from three primary sources. It is income, sales, and property taxes. Income and sales taxes make up the majority of combined state tax revenue, while property taxes are the largest source of tax revenue for local governments including school districts. What taxes are levied by the local government? Local taxes come in many forms, from property taxes and payroll taxes to sales taxes and licensing fees. They can vary widely from one jurisdiction to the next. Taxes levied by cities and towns are also referred to as municipal taxes. Okay, let's go to barangay clearance. What is barangay clearance? A barangay clearance is one of the easiest document you can get as valid proof of your identity. It is a document that contains a person's names, address, thumb marks, and signatures. It also contains the date it was issued and for what specific purpose. Is barangay clearance for free? Under Republic Act 11261, those availing of the benefits shall be required to present a barangay certification, which should also be given free of charge, declaring that the applicant is a first-time job seeker.
The Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion, or the TRAIN Act. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte signed into law Republic Act No. 10963, otherwise known as the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion, or the TRAIN Act, the first package of the Comprehensive Tax Reform Program, or the CTRP, on December 19, 2017 in Malacanang. The TRAIN will provide hefty income tax cuts for a majority of Filipino taxpayers while raising additional funds to help support the government's accelerated spending on its Build, and social services programs. This tax reform package corrects a long-standing inequity of the tax system by reducing personal income taxes for 99% of taxpayers, thereby giving them the much-needed relief after 20 years of non-adjustment of the tax rates and brackets. This is the biggest Christmas and New Year's gifts the government is giving to the people. For the poorest 10 million households, the government is giving them targeted cash transfer of 200 pesos per month in 2018 and 300 pesos per month in 2019 and 2020. Aside from the higher consumption taxes that the rich will contribute, as well as better social services, healthcare, and education. All this will prepare the people for job opportunities. In separate message, President Duterte has vetoed certain provisions of the train. The vetoed 5 lines items are the following provisions. 1. Reduce income tax rates of employees of regional headquarters, regional operating headquarters, offshore banking units, and petroleum service contractors and subcontractors. 2. Zero rating of sales of goods and services to separate customs territory and tourism enterprise zones. 3. Exemption from percentage tax of gross sales receipts not exceeding 500,000 pesos. 4. Exemption of various petroleum products from excise tax when used as input, feedstock, or raw materials in the manufacturing of petrochemical products, or in the refining of petroleum products, or as replacement fuel for natural gas-fired combination cycle power plants. And 5. Earning of incremental tobacco taxes. The train raises significant revenues to support the President's priority social and infrastructure programs, which will help realize his administration's goal of reducing the poverty rate from 21.6 to 14% by 2022. Some 70% of the incremental revenues will help fund the government infrastructure's modernization program, while the balance will go to social service. So, para saan nga ba ang train law? Una, layunin ng train na magkaroon ng simple, patas at maayos na sistema ng pagbubuwis. Ang kontribusyon ng bawat Pilipino ay ayon sa kanilang kakayahang magbayad. Lahat ay makikinabang sa mga programa at serbisyo ng ating gobyerno, lalo na ang mga mahihirap. Pangalawa, Kinakailangan ng train upang puksain ang matinding kahirapan sa pamamagitan ng pamumuhunan ng gobyerno sa infrastruktura, kalusugan, edukasyon at iba pang social services. Sa pamamagitan ng simple, patas at maayos na sistema ng pagbubuwis, makakatulong ang train sa paglikom ng sapat na pondo para sa mga pangunahing programa ng gobyerno ngayon at sa mga susunod pang mga taon upang maabot ang ambisyon 2040. Simple lang. Ang train at ang tax reform for acceleration and inclusion ay isa sa mga solusyon upang matamo at marating ng bawat Pilipino ang tunay na pagbabago. Sa train law, dito, mataas ang naiuwing sahod ng karamihan sa empleyadong Pilipino. Higher tax home pay para sa 99% ng income taxpayers ang pinagmamalaki ng train law. Bago ipatupad ang train, minimum wage earners lang ang exempted sa income tax. Ngayon, lahat ng kumikita ng 250,000 pesos pababa kada taon ay exempted na rin. Less income tax, more take-home pay. Prioridad din ng train law ng kalusugan ang bawat pamamayang Pilipino. Dati, senior citizens lang ang exempted sa value-added tax o VAT sa pabili ng gamot. Ngayon, ang may mga karamdaman gaya ng diabetes, high cholesterol at hypertension ay mas mababa ang babayaran sa pabili ng gamot para rito dahil exempted na rin ang mga ito sa VAT pag may reseta. Ito ang tulong ng train law sa mga may karamdaman. Gayunpaman, papatawan ng mga mataas na excise tax ang mga produktong nakakasama sa kalusugan tulad ng sigarilyo at soft drinks. Layunin nito na maging mas health conscious ang mga Pilipino. Di lamang sa pagpapatayo ng infrastruktura para sa lahat ng Pilipino. Layunin din ng train law na makalikom ng pondo mula sa mga produkto gaya ng petrolyo. Ang mga nasa top 10 na pinakamayamang household sa Pilipinas ang may kakayahan at sila rin ang nagkukonsumo ng higit kalahati sa lahat ng mga produktong petrolyo sa lahat ng household. Mas malaki ang may aambag ng mga may kaya at may pinakamayamang household sa pamamaraan ng pinakataas na excise tax sa mga produktong petrolyo. 70% ng koleksyon mula sa train ay ilalaan sa iba't ibang proyekto tulad ng build sa buong Pilipinas. Mas marami ay may tatayong tulay, kalsada, paliparan, train at farm-to-market goods. Mas mapapadali ang pagbiyahe ng mga Pilipino, mas mapabilis din ang pag-unlad ng mga probinsya dahil mas magiging accessible na ang lugar na ito sa kalakaran at turismo. Makapagtayo rin ng gobyerno ng matibay na eskwelahan at hospital na hindi basta-basta pipinsala ng mga sakuna.